And the West continues to condemn the events in Crimea, maintaining Russia's move to absorb the peninsula violates international law. There is talk of more possible sanctions against Russia. But Tuesday, U.S. President Barack Obama ruled out the possibility of military action, saying it would not be appropriate.
We are not going to be getting into a military excursion in Ukraine. What we are going to do is mobilize all of our diplomatic resources to make sure that we've got a strong international coalition that sends a clear message, which is the Ukraine should decide their own destiny.
Meantime, the U.S. is taking steps to reassure its allies that share borders with Russia. CCTV's Nathan King joins us now with more on that part of the story.
That's right. U.S. President Barack Obama, no military action over Ukraine, but his deputy vice president in Eastern Europe saying military support could be on the way. In Lithuania, the final stop of a trip to the Baltic states aimed at reassuring nervous NATO allies who border Russia. The U.S. Vice President continued to talk tough.
I want to make it clear. We stand resolutely with our Baltic allies in support of the Ukrainian people and against Russian aggression. As long as Russia continues on this dark path, they will face increasing political and economic isolation.
On this trip, the U.S. Vice President has indicated Washington may rotate more forces into the region to conduct ground and naval exercises as a deterrent. In the British Parliament, Prime Minister David Cameron also raised the possibility of Russia being expelled from the G8 group of industrialised nations.
I think it's important we move together with our allies and partners, and I think we should be discussing whether or not to expel Russia permanently from the G8 if further steps are taken.
Expulsion from the G8 would be more than a symbolic move, and some countries like Italy are urging a more cautious approach. Germany, meanwhile, is focusing on getting Russian agreement to international monitors being dispatched to Ukraine. However, the Organisation for Security and Cooperation in Europe, or OSCE, says there was no agreement on a monitoring mission to Ukraine. However, some Russian analysts say even the threat of further sanctions is already damaging Russia.
There have been reports in the media on Russian banks' ability to borrow, which in turn affects the ability of investors to invest money into the Russian economy, to help the economy grow, which has been one of the key priorities for the Putin administration.
The Western response will likely take shape next week when the US and its G7 allies meet in Europe. US President Barack Obama will be there. It will also depend on the situation in the rest of the Ukraine. If tensions rise, so will the threat of more and perhaps stronger sanctions, though Europe pretty much divided still. Mike?
All right, Nathan King, live for us. Thanks so much.